Hello, welcome to Sunday Night Prime. I'm Father Andrew Apostoli, member of the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and it's my pleasure to be your host for Sunday Night Prime. Before we get into our program tonight, which I know you're going to enjoy very much, I'd just like to remind you that if you have any questions, any comments, suggestions for programs, please send your emails to sundaynightprime@ewtn.com. That's sundaynightprime@ewtn.com. Well, I greet you with a little greeting of St. Francis. May the Lord give you his peace. You know, God has blessed us, especially here in America, but all over the world in many countries, with so many good things and blessings in abundance, food and places to live and so on. But there are many of our brothers and sisters who do suffer from a lack of necessary food, shelter, proper housing, even proper toilet facilities and the like. And so we are, called to share what we have as part of our love. It's the expression to follow Jesus. He said, "Love one another as I have loved you." And he was always concerned for all our needs, and we should be then concerned for the needs of our brothers and sisters. As Jesus said, "I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink." And people will say at the last judgment, "Lord, when did we feed you or give you something to drink?" He said, "As long as you did it for one of the least of my brothers and sisters, you did it for me." And it's a great part of our Christian life when people are moved to want to go and serve the very needy. And our special guest today, first guest, we're going to have a few of them, is someone who felt that call. His name is Charlie Moran. Charlie, welcome to the program.
Welcome, Father Andrew.
Charlie is a very good friend of all the friars and the sisters of the Renewal. He is also the founder of a very interesting group of people called the Friars Suppliers. Maybe Charlie can tell us a little bit about them and maybe a little bit about yourself.
In 1998, that's when Friars Suppliers was founded. We had one of the friars come to our house, and I'm very inquisitive, and I said, "Brother, where do you get your food?" And he goes, "Well, people give us our food." And I said, "We have a lot of it." And he goes, "Well, pasta." I said, "Oh, you mean like with meatballs and sausage?" He goes, "No, pasta." I'm like, "Okay." And then I said, "What about like vegetables?" He goes, "Oh, between June and September, we get a lot of people giving them their excess from their gardens." And I said, "What about fruits?" He said, "Well, they're a dream." So the next week at our Rosary Prayer group that's been meeting now for about almost 30 years, I had a business meeting, and I talked to all the families about what I wanted to do was set up an organization which would help feed the friars and sisters. And that was in 98. Okay, and there were not very many friars at that point. Okay, I think we feed maybe 25 friars at that point. Through the years, we've added every single friar and convent in New York into it. We send out begging letters every month to 385 people. My wife writes a newsletter and talks about different things that's going on in the church and with the friars. And that was the start of Friar Suppliers.
I know you told me that one of the things you kind of lived by was the saying, "For everything God has given us, we owe back."
I kind of live by that. I've been very fortunate where I have a wonderful wife, and I have great kids and really good, I have really nice grandchildren and a great business. I just retired June 30th. But God doesn't give us our earthly stuff for no reason. He says he gives you stuff, but you have to pay back. So my way of paying back has been going to Haiti. Father Benedict Rochelle had asked me to go in 2003 down to Haiti, and I remember that year when he asked, I was like, I got 3 kids in Catholic high school. My tuitions are choking me. Now you want me to take money and go to Haiti? He goes, Charlie says, someone will benefact you. So somebody did, and that changed my life. That trip changed not only my life, but the lives of my whole family, because I came back such a different person that my kids have all been to Haiti at least once. My daughter's been 5 times. Even my wife went because she couldn't understand the radical change. I was a pain to cook for. I didn't like leftovers. I didn't like more foods. Then I go down to Haiti. I will eat anything. I will eat anything that my wife puts in front of me.
Because you remember those who are very poor.
I remember those days. I mean, turkey was the thing I hated the most. Okay, and she gave me 42 nights in a row. She gave me turkey until she said to me, "You mean what you said?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I said I will eat turkey, and I still do."
Yeah, I guess when you see people who have no choice, who are starving, and are grateful for what they do have, huh?
I was very grateful for what I had. Yes.
So that's a great thing. That's I wish everybody would always keep that in mind. For everything God has given us, we owe back. It's true. We're going to be judged on that. What have we done with the gifts God has given us? Huh? Well, Pope Francis, remember, he stressed that all who are baptized by their very baptism are called to be missionaries. Missionary, someone who is sent forth, like an apostle, someone who is sent. And Jesus, remember, he told the apostles, he said, "I'm sending you to the ends of the earth to proclaim the good news." And I think Pope Francis was encouraging all of us, the laity as well as the clergy and religious, to be missionaries in our own situation and, to proclaim the gospel both by our words, but even more by our deeds. Isn't that true? Huh?
Very true.
Yeah. I'm sure you get such a reaction from people when you...
I do. I get people ask me all the time, like, why would you do something like this? And I always come back and I say to them, well, what did you do to help somebody? I figure, you're asking me the question. I'm going to say, what did you ever do? And I can name all these. I have hundreds of things I can label just with the Haiti alone. We ship food, we ship medicine, we feed blind families, we build houses, we build latrines. So that's what I'm doing. So I always say to people, well, what are you doing? And most people do not have an answer at all. And I'll say to them, you don't have to come to a foreign country. You can help your neighbor, okay? You can go to the local food pantry and give them some food, okay? You can donate some money to help me get the food from point A to point B, and then people nod, okay, and they very quickly try and get off the topic.
Yeah. Well, all the works of mercy, huh?
Yeah.
Like visiting the sick. I mean, you don't have to go to a foreign country. You go to maybe to someone that's in the hospital. Go and cheer them up. Share a few things. You're not there to cure them. I mean, a lot of people, I think, shy away from visiting the sick because they figure, well, I go there, they're sick. I leave, and they're still sick. Well, your purpose is not to, unless you've got the gift of healing and miracles, your mission is to share with them the joy of just recognizing them, encouraging them, and this is certainly something that's so very, very important for us. And here we are, Pope Francis had given us the year of mercy so that we might be reminded. And Jesus, came to be merciful to us. When did you first began your work with the Friar Supply, as you mentioned?
In 1998. But my first Haiti trip was in 2003, and that was and we went down and we just went for look-see, and we traveled with food for the poor, and they kind of taught us how to react to super poor people, because I had never been around poor people, and my town doesn't really have any poor people. But they just taught me how to react and talk to people. And we were down there for 10 days, and we traveled from all over Haiti, for all the different facilities that Food for the Poor has. And then the last night, we got together with a local parish, and they read me their laundry list of all the different things that they would like help with. And I remember I was sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, am I glad I'm just Charlie Moran, I don't have to answer any of these questions, figuring that the senior CFR was going to answer them. And Father Conrad got up and he talked a little bit, and then he goes, but the person that's going to answer all your questions, that was Charlie Moran. I almost died, okay? Because I couldn't, they wanted to know, could I help them feed 5,000 people a week? A week, okay? Would I buy them a piece of property they could build a food storage facility on? And I was like, oh my God, this was just super deep. And I got up there, and I still remember what I said. I said, every single thing that you people are asking me for, you should already have. Okay, there's nothing. Everyone should have food. Everyone should have shelter. I said, as far as feeding 5,000 people, I said, I know you think that every American is super rich. That's the furthest thing from the truth. I said, we're better off than Haitians. I said, as far as buying you a piece of property, I said, I could only buy you a piece of property if it was owned by the Catholic Church. It could not be owned by an individual. I said, but I promise you that I will come back next year and I'll do a big project. So now everybody wanted to know that second what the project was going to be, including me, because I hadn't even considered what I was going to do, because I wasn't prepared for this question.
So you just made a promise.
I made a promise, and then I came back, and for the next couple of months we talked about it, and with Father Conrad, and we went back the next year and we rebuilt the Catholic school and we put in a medical clinic, okay? And we had 23 people come on that trip. And I was nervous because I was in charge. I was instructed, by the senior CFR that I had come up with all the funding, that the friars weren't helping at all. And I was like, oh my God, you want me to raise how much? And Father said, you need to raise at least $37,000. Well, that was like $1 million to me at that point, But that was easy. That was the easiest part of the whole trip. You just told people what you're doing, and people just gave money. We weren't even a 501c3 tax-exempt organization at that time. They had to write checks out to me. But by the time the trip came, it was amazing because we had enough money to do the whole trip plus some. The people that came on the trip, were amazing. We had electricians, we had carpenters, we had painters, and then we just had a rosary lady that came around and she just prayed the rosary with us all day long. And that was very important because that just pegged us on. In fact, it was Sister Cecilia's mom, who you meet later on, and she just prayed the rosary and painted, and she pushed us and she pushed us, and she was great.
Wow, that's God just attracts people of all backgrounds, huh?
Yes.
You ever hear that saying that God doesn't ask me about my ability or my inability, only about my availability.
Yes.
Because he'll find use for whatever talents as long as we're willing to say yes. Well, that's a great thing. I know you mentioned, what was it, 23 people on your first trip?
On the first trip, yeah.
Now, how many are ready to come with you this time?
We're 47 people coming on this year's trip, and that includes six doctors and nurses. But we have people from all different categories. I mean, like I've learned over the course of the years that don't just ask carpenters, even though you need carpenters. I let anyone who can give me a good enough reason why they want to come see Jesus Christ. Because on these trips, yes, we get a lot done, but I think that we get more out of it because we go down there, we build houses, we build latrines, we do food handouts. So I need people of all different, if you're not handy with a hammer, that's fine. I need people to stuff bags of food. I need people to help run the grinders. I need people to help sort barrels and barrels of food and clothing that I send down every single week. So I need all sorts of hands, so it doesn't make a difference, And if you're asking me, okay, it's because God is telling you that He wants you to go.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing. So and I'm sure they come back just like you said. Your first trip to Haiti changed you profoundly, huh? And a lot of these people, and we need this so much in our society. We find so much narcissism, a focus on self, and I'm only concerned about me, myself, and I, and forget about everybody else. And yet, we will be judged by Jesus. How much did you love me? How much, and my brothers and my sisters too. And so it's a great thing. And I know this time you got the challenge too of the hurricane that happened, huh? Back in October, was it?
September 28th.
December 28th?
Yeah, September 28th. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to have a couple of other special guests on with you today. So we're going to be taking our break now, and we'll be right back, though. Don't go away. We've got so much that's interesting. I think so much that's challenging, to share with you. And this is the gospel in a very powerful way, to reach out to our brothers and sisters in need. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sunday Night Prime. I'm Father Andrew Apostoli, your host for today's program, which is entitled Haiti and Hurricane Matthew. In the first segment, we had as our special guest there Charlie Moran, who is the founder of Friar Suppliers and the leader of a almost now annual pilgrimage, not pilgrimage, but actually a mission down to Haiti to assist the people, to provide food, clothing, shelter, and toilet facilities, and so on. Now we add a second special guest, and my own confrere, who is Father Harold Brock. He's a Franciscan Friar of the Renewal and was one of our first novices of our community. Welcome, Father Harold.
Thanks, Father Andrew. It's great to be here with you.
Likewise. It's I know you have much to share. You are really a missionary. Share a little bit about yourself and about your missionary work.
Well, it kind of began for me in just traveling and preaching, as we often do as friars, through Youth 2000 to different places. And it was back in 1998 where I visited several developing countries, Jamaica, Mexico, and saw something I hadn't seen before, something that Charlie said before. I saw the face of Christ in a different way, in a new way, and that really took hold of me. And so for the Jubilee year 2000, as you remember, we wanted to do something special, so we opened 2 friaries simultaneously in London, in England, and then in Honduras. And I was part of the team that went down to find the location for that. We had studied Spanish there previously, right after another hurricane. And then we opened there on Pentecost Sunday, and I joined that mission in early 2001 and lived almost 7 years in Honduras. Came back to the States in 2007, and the following year, 2008, went on a special mission to South Sudan. We had some contact with the Diocese of Turit there and was able to spend 2.5 years helping a church in a country that's still suffering a great deal. Some friars and came to visit there, and so we had some different trips. And when I came back in 2011, I was assigned to be a missionary preaching friar. So from that point on, made trips to Latin America, principally Honduras, the Caribbean, and to Africa, and numerous countries in Africa. So it's been a privilege, really, to see the face of Christ in so many different places, but also a challenge to see what you were talking about before, Father Andrew, the degree of suffering, the fact of deprivation of really just very basic things. And that asks something of us.
Yeah. We're protected, I think, in our society, especially in America, we're protected from a lot of that extreme form of poverty and suffering, like you say, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Charlie mentioned that in his own hometown there weren't any really poor people. And I think that's true for large parts of America, although even here, as we see in the inner city, in our shelter for homeless men, where I'm working now, and in other situations, there's poverty. But it's one thing to see something on a television screen. It's another thing to see it face to face, directly, immediately. That's a whole other reality. And that's what Charlie is referring to, the experience that turned his life around. And really, I think, Charlie, it's been an experience of everyone who's joined you on those trips.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, powerful to see, like you say, the face of Christ in the very poor. Well, I know, Father Harold, this time going down, you'll be challenged by the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. Can you share a little bit about what that hurricane did, or what it's going to mean for you going down there now this year?
Yeah, it's as Charlie mentioned, that storm, it's hurricane season, right? So the storm formed in the Caribbean, and it hit Haiti actually on the Feast of St. Francis of all days, October 4th. Mm-hmm. Had winds of about 145 miles an hour. And of course, the destruction of a hurricane comes from wind and rain. And so in the initial impact of the storm, roofs were ripped off, about 200,000 homes were destroyed. And because of the weak infrastructure in Haiti, they still don't even know exactly how many people died, somewhere between 550 and 1,500. But because, again, one of the things that a hurricane does is it destroys means of communication. It destroys roadways. It paralyzes hospitals and police responses. So it creates, in addition to the destruction and the suffering, just incredible confusion, trying to begin to pull things back together again. So Haiti is a country of about 11 million, and a little over 2 million people were affected by this. I mentioned the fatalities, but because 200,000 people lost their homes, they're saying about 1.4 million people have been displaced. Of that number, about 140 are in shelters. The rest just crowd into other houses. And as Charlie knows well, when you're very poor, you can't do things the way you'd like. Most of the houses in Haiti have no foundation. They're just built right into the earth. Maybe some posts are put in there, but the floors are dirt floors. They're on the side of hills. And so when rain comes down and wind comes, there's nothing to hold back the destruction of those homes. Yeah. Now that's the initial impact. The damage was estimated at $1.89 billion. But then there's the aftermath, where the hurricane hit, a lot of crops were destroyed, livestock was destroyed, and then the perennial difficulty in Haiti because of the sanitation difficulties is cholera. Which when Charlie goes, we built a lot of latrines, and they're well built. The people, it's beautiful to see. They're so excited. They dig these deep, you wouldn't even know how they dig them, deep holes into the ground, and they all by hand. That's a prerequisite. And then when our team comes, we put a cement pad that's reinforced with rebar, and then a well-built structure on top that can be used not only as a latrine, but an area to bathe in private. And Charlie himself received an award, Father Andrew, because of the reduction in cholera in the neighborhoods in which we work. When there's not proper latrines, you can imagine as soon as it rains, what happens.
Yeah.
And there's small children, there's people, and so cholera, which is a waterborne disease, begins to break loose. And again, it's hard to calculate the exact numbers, but there's been 29 cholera deaths since Hurricane Matthew. So what makes it most difficult is the world remembers the earthquake in 2010, just the images of government buildings and the cathedral in Haiti in ruins. And so kind of just as the country is coming out of this, just getting back on its feet and rebuilding a little bit, it was another major disaster, this Category 4 hurricane that kind of rips through. And, you know, it's one thing, again, to kind of look at it from the macro level, statistics, numbers. It's another thing when you see the tear-washed face of an anguished woman. You see people carrying their belongings across streets which have become like rivers, trudging through mud. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to get food to eat? And the beautiful thing about the approach of Charlie and Friar suppliers, because on the one hand we could say, well, you know, the UN is responding or this government agency is responding, and that's good. But there are still individual people who need a hand. They need a place. They need something to eat. And people who already had to face very difficult situations, mothers who don't have enough food for all their kids, people with chronic medical conditions. When people come, and this is the gift that Charlie offers to people who participate and support, it's you can touch the situation directly. You can look into the face of someone. You can see the expression when there's a house. You can look at a little girl and think how much her dignity is enhanced because she has a bathroom to use and she has a place where she can take a bath. You can see people who already take great pride in making their little canvas house or their little wooden house clean and neat. Now they have a wooden house. You know, and sometimes you see it's really, sometimes the ladies almost look like queens when they're coming into that, you know what I mean? It's like there's such a sense of, and that really is, that's the joy of the gospel. To personally respond to my brother, to my sister, to Jesus himself, who's in need.
What a great thing, you know. I know before the program, Charlie had mentioned that, and you touched on that too, the trees that where the fruit grows and everything. Well, that was their food Plus, wasn't a lot of that also what they could sell to support themselves?
Yeah, they have the bananas, they have the mangoes, which you see trading all over the place. But most of the crops in the little village we work in a town called River Freud. The little crops they had are gone. The trees are gone. So that means no more bananas, no more mangoes. And the brothers they're just besides themselves. I work with the little brothers of St. Therese. They're just besides themselves because they don't know who to turn to, you know. And I always tell them, just ask me, you know, and because if I can help you, I will. And the first thing I did was we sent some money down for them to buy instant food, because the vicar of the community, Brother Denny, goes to me, Charlie, the day after the hurricane, he says, I opened up my bedroom door. He says, and for as far as I could look, he says, there were people there that just wanted to ask me for food and for money so that those people could go visit their family down in the south of Haiti. He says, I didn't have either one. He says, so, you know, and every single person asked me the same question for 2.5 days. You know,
But it's amazing, isn't it, that the first place where people turn
is the church.
is
The
the
church.
church. These brothers, so they're all Haitians, and they work miracles. I mean, these guys do stuff with, we have resources people can turn to. They do something out of nothing. It's really amazing. But it's really interesting to see how in that moment of need, they turn to the church, to these religious brothers, these consecrated men. And isn't it beautiful that they can turn to Charlie?
Yeah.
They do have somebody to turn to.
Yeah.
Charlie, talk about some of the response to the hurricane that you've had happening here.
Oh, the day after the hurricane, my phone rang the entire day. So many people called up and said, how can I help you? And I was like, well, I need food. So people did food drives. Kellenberg High School in Uniondale, New York, had all 2,100 students bring in canned goods, okay? They came up with the shipping money because it cost me $165 to ship every barrel. They paid for every single barrel. They also brought sneakers, okay? I desperately need sneakers for this January's trip. I had another parish, Our Lady of Lourdes in Massapequa. They did a food drive. They brought over a whole truckload. Two homeschooling groups on Long Island did a food drive, and they bring stuff to my house.
But Charlie, the high school students didn't just give stuff, did they?
They gave their time. It was amazing. My son happens to be a religion teacher in the school, and when I asked him, he goes, "Okay, Dad, let me think about it." And then he calls me the night before. He goes, "Dad," he says, "you're getting 37 students." He says they're coming on 2 school buses. 3 truckloads of food are coming. He says, "I hope you can handle what I've got." I said, "Son," "you know the way I am." I said, "I have a person for every single thing that you've got." I said, "Just bring it on." And I will admit, I was a little overwhelmed when it arrived. In fact, my daughter was up on the roof filming the whole thing, so it's on Facebook under Friar Suppliers. And it's quite comical because you see all these kids running around trying to help, and the kids had a ball. But you know what they were doing? They were helping the poor, you know. And they gave of their valuable time. They came. They signed up when the school asked for kids to help. They volunteered.
But isn't it amazing, Father Andrew? I mean, the poor in Haiti turn to these brothers, the church.
Yeah.
Those brothers turn to Charlie, who they know through the church. Charlie turns to his son, who teaches in a Catholic high school. He turns to the administration and the students. I mean, this is the body of Christ.
Yeah.
This is the network of love and charity and mercy. It's beautiful.
That's right. And you go to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say high school kids.
Yeah.
High school kids.
Most of them were freshmen.
And you know, they'll never forget, they'll get enthusiastic about it. I know, they love to do that kind of thing, you know. And I know, Charlie, you go to a lot of different places, you know, to request the assistance that you need, food, and, you know.
Just yesterday I was at a Catholic church in Babylon, New York, St. Joseph's Church, and I talked at every single Mass.
And how many were there?
How many people in the Mass?
How many Masses?
I went to 11 Masses.
You spoke at 11 Masses?
Between Saturday and Sunday. I think I have a lot of extra credits.
Yeah, that's extra
feel it. I
credit
can
work,
feel it,
that's for
Joe.
sure, Joe.
But
so, what did they promised you, didn't they?
They did. They were very, very, very rewarding. And I had 3 people walk up to me that said they started asking me questions about coming to Haiti in January. And I told them, please call me on Tuesday. I had people asking me, do I ever need people to just help load barrels? I always need people to help me load barrels. I'm 64. You know, when I was in my 40s doing this, that was easy. Now I'm 64, you know, so loading the barrels is not as easy as it was. Where people come and they have this enthusiasm that I just love to see, because I say, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do, and they do it, you know, and I can sometimes just stand back.
You get recruits. Well, we're going to have to take a break now. Don't go away. We've got even more beautiful things to share with you. Okay? This is a wonderful work of God, as Mother Teresa would say. Huh? Something beautiful for God.
Amen.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sunday Night Crime. I'm Father Andrew Apostoli, your host for today's program, which is entitled Haiti and Hurricane Matthew. We've had as our special guests, first of all, we had Charlie Moran, who's the kind of spearhead of the work, the mission that goes down to Haiti, and actually does work all through the year, providing food and other things that are necessary. But when they go down there, they do a lot of work building homes for the people, building proper bathroom facilities, especially to counter the cholera in that country, which is a major problem there. But we had also Father Harold Brock, who was a missionary friar, Franciscan Friar of the Renewal. Now we have a special Franciscan sister of the Renewal, Sister Cecilia Jesse. Welcome, sister, to the program.
Thank you so much, Father. It's great to be here with you.
Okay. Well, why don't you introduce yourself? Because then, you know, your work, and you're working in formation, and you do a lot with the music, and you play the cello, and so beautiful. Okay. But would you want to share a little bit about yourself so that
Sure.
everybody get to know you better?
Sure, Father. Thank you. Yeah, so I joined the Sisters in 2001, and currently I'm living in the Bronx and assisting with our candidates and postulants.
Very important work.
Right.
That's our future
Right.
of the Sisters community.
Right, that's right. So right now we have 2 candidates and 2 postulants, and it's a joy to get to live with them and work with them. And then I also do several other things. Among them is directing music for our community. So I actually studied music. That I got a degree in music before entering the community. So God is using the gifts He's given me in His service. So that's a joy for me.
That's a wonderful part of community, isn't it? Everybody has a little something different to contribute,
Yeah, that's
so
right.
that the whole thing turns out really
Perfect.
beautiful, you know? Very good, very good. Well, I know, Sister, you have been very connected with the Haiti, your work there, the mission to Haiti and helping. And I know we already had a reference to your mother, didn't we?
That's
Want to
right.
share that?
Sure. In 2004, when Charlie went, well, I guess you had been one time before and then promised to do a big project for the people down there. Both of my parents and myself joined that next mission trip in 2004, where we went down and we renovated the school. My mom and I did a lot of painting that trip, painting all the different buildings. And so at one point, I don't know if you want to share that story about my mom.
We were all starting to get really, really tired of painting because the school was really bad shape. And we were slowing down, and Molly just didn't want to hear that we were slowing down. And she said, well, we have to start saying the rosary. And she says, and you paint to the stroke, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. And we finished the school, you know, saying the rosary, you know. And it was hot. I mean, Haiti is not a cool weather climate. And we were in July, so it was probably like 105, you know. The school did not have any air conditioning. The school didn't have any fans. The school didn't have any electric when we went. You know, and her dad just was, you know, Mr. Mechanical, and he would walk around and he would try and fix the little bit of electric that he could. And her parents were absolutely amazing, you know, and I'm so happy to have them come back this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so they'll be back this year, and my sister is coming as well, which
Wow,
will be
it's
wonderful.
becoming a family affair. Huh?
Yes.
That's a nice thing, you know, because just as you shared early on in the program, Charlie, how you went down to Haiti and your wife, when you came back, you were so changed. Your wife couldn't quite understand the change. But when other family members go down, as your wife did later on also, they begin to see it for themselves and they begin to understand what's happened, you know. I wish more people would be involved in this kind of work. Young people, I think it's challenging for young people. I remember the story that Bishop Sheen used to tell about this man who came to see him, and he was talking about his son, I guess in the late teens, and he was kind of rebellious, and he didn't want to go to church, he didn't want to pray, didn't want anything to do with God, and so Bishop Sheen, as he told the story, he said, "You probably thought I told the father, we'll try to get him to pray." And he said the prayer would not have done much good for that young man because he was too wrapped up in himself. He said, so I told the father, get him to do something for somebody else. So that young man went down to Mexico, and he got connected with the parish down there that had a lot of poor people, and he began to work with them. 4 months later, he comes back. He's praying his rosary every day. He's going to Mass on Sunday. You know why? He got his focus off himself, and he realized there are people more needy than myself. And that's, he found the joy of doing for others. And doesn't that happen?
That's very true. We receive, I think, much more than we give when we're able to serve others. And I've certainly experienced that in these trips to Haiti. I was blessed to be able to go last year as well. And that's one of the things I really brought back. And I know this already from working with the poor, that they always have something to offer us. And that we, as Charlie has said, you know, we really see the face of Christ in them. But one of the things I really love about this particular mission trip is getting to work alongside of the Haitian people and getting to know them. On the team, there are a number of Haitians who work on the construction team, and then also a number of Haitians who are translators. And we, Sister Kelly Francis and I, who were there last year, we had a few wonderful young men to translate for us as we went to visit the school. We did some work with the children. We visited people in their homes. And it was great to be able to reach out to the people, but then also to work alongside of the Haitians and get to know them. And you really begin to feel like family, which we are. You know, we're all part of God's family, but you feel that.
Well, that is very beautiful. That's very beautiful. When you say they were part of the team, did you mention those? Did they come down from the U.S. to go down there?
We hire 40 Haitian workers to work with us. We hire 22 translators. I get one translator for every 2 Americans, and then we have 3 Haitian security guards just to make sure that everything goes okay. This way here, not only do we help the Haitian people, but we pay all these Haitian people to work for us. So for a lot of these people, it's the only time that they'll work the entire year.
Wow.
You know, so we give them money, plus we give I give them 50 pounds of rice, 50 pounds of beans, and a soccer ball. Father Andrew, what do you think they appreciate the most?
The soccer ball.
The soccer ball, okay? I can be handing out the pay, and they're very orderly. Handing out the rice, they're very orderly, okay? Handing out the beans, orderly. The soccer balls, they're pushing they're each other as if I'm going to run out. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's plenty of soccer balls for everyone. Just wait your turn. I'll call you, and then you can have it.
Something that excites them, huh? Almost like little children, huh? Like,
it is. You know, last year I was working with in the food pantry, and I said to there were 4 men working with me, and I said, guys, I said, if I was going to switch out the soccer ball, I said, for something else, is there something that you would appreciate even more? And 3 of the guys, no, we really like soccer ball. The next day, this one Haitian guy named Vincent walks over to me, and he's very soft-spoken. It's not like me. He goes, Mr. Charlie, if I was going to ask you for something, he says, do you know what I need? I said, no. He lifts his foot up, and he shows me his sneaker, and the sole was falling off of it. You know, what American has ever walked around with their sneakers with soles? And so I said, okay, follow me, Vincent. We'll go in the tool shed. And I went in the tool shed, and I handed him 2 pairs of size 9 sneakers, and he goes, "Oh, Charlie, I cannot take 2 pairs." He says, "For the rest of today, I want you to walk around just looking down. I want you to look at my fellow Haitians' feet." I was like, "Okay," and I did. I was shocked for what I saw, because most of the guys were wearing sneakers that were in really bad shape. So do you know what every single one of my workers is getting this year? Brand new sneakers.
That's wonderful.
I have 1,200 pairs of sneakers we're going out this year.
That's, it's something that you might say, well, so small a thing, and yet for them,
It's huge.
makes their life different, gives them an opportunity to do things, play games, and so on that just would enhance their just their joy of life. Huh?
But even the mountains that they walk on, Father, I mean, we're not talking nice paved streets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They run up and down these mountains that they're not streets. They
No.
just go up the mountain, and I can't go up a lot of the roads but they're like billy goats. They just run up the mountain. Even the little kids, they walk around with nothing on their feet.
That's true. I had that experience a number of times, just going out and about the neighborhoods to visit families, and the Haitians would be bounding down ahead of us, and we were just trying to catch our balance to follow on these narrow, rocky paths. But one of the things we noticed last year, Father, was that a lot of the houses didn't have crucifixes. So one of the things we're bringing down this year are around 1,500 crucifixes to be able to share with those.
Could you hold that
And,
up, Sister, just a little bit?
So
We'll
here it
see if
is.
yeah. mhm.
I'll be there with Sister Miriam this year, and we'll visit people in their houses. We'll bring a hammer and a nail and hang these up for them. And then we can give them out to anyone, probably for the people who come for food at the end of the week as well. But it'll be a wonderful sign of the faith that a lot of people don't have, but will really appreciate.
Yeah, that's very, very important. I know also there are some medical people. I know some of the sisters were working as nurses, weren't they? Some of them, I think.
That's right. A few years ago.
A few years
Yeah,
ago.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
Do you have other medical people?
I have. We have. The medical team is headed by a woman named Mary Ann Sherrill, and she brings 7 other nurses and doctors down. And back in 2001, we built a medical clinic for the nurses to work in a huge pharmacy area.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come down. They usually come down a little bit after us, and because they just do 6 days. We do longer because I could never get done in 6 days. I mean, our mission this year is to build 50 blind families a house and a latrine. So, building buildings takes a lot longer than just treating the people. I mean, the nurses will treat about 2,000 people in the course of the week.
Wow.
And they'll be mainly treating people for malnutrition, so giving out vitamins and medicine and food. Medicine to help with any kind of bacteria or things that...
I imagine,
If you have high blood pressure, what they do is they'll give you enough blood pressure medicine to last for the next 6 months when the nurses go back. They keep cards on every single person. If you have epilepsy, they give you enough medicine to last for 6 months. It's all done through donations. The whole thing, people are constantly just sending us donations to pay for the trip, which works out really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the blind families, these are families that have a blind person
Yes.
in their family, right? And Charlie's been providing food for them as well.
We have 75 people that are in our blind family program. It's administered by Brother Wilfred, who is Little Brothers of St. Therese. And every Wednesday they come to get food. And my problem is that they keep on having more people join. I think it's like all the blind people find out that Charlie Moran gives them food, and it's keeping up with the amount of money that I need to send down there sometimes is a challenge. But that's St. Joseph's problem. That's not my problem. St. Joseph is the person who pays all my bills.
Mm-hmm.
But the families come. And last year I did something, I know most of the audience has never done anything crazy, but I did something super crazy last year. I had all 75 families walk up and give me their wants and their needs.
These are the blind families.
The blind families. We went around for over 3 hours. And they just said what they wanted, what they needed. And most of the stuff they were asking for was super, super simple. They weren't asking me for cars or computers or money. They were asking me for pots and pans. They were asking me for clothes because they said the only clothes they had were the ones that were on their back. They were asking for shoes.
Oh.
They weren't asking me for expensive stuff.
There was one who asked for a door, right? Wasn't that?
That woman, she came up and she said that God has blessed her, and that she has, I think, 9 children, and she has 1 husband, which is rare in Haiti. And she says, but the only thing I need, she says, is a door, because what happens is when it rains, the rain comes into my house. And so that's done, you know. So I disappeared for a couple minutes. I went and I got a carpenter, and I said, Sabby, come down here. And then he drove her to our house. He measured the door, and 2 days later, the door was put up. The woman started to cry. Oh, for a door. A door.
Isn't that amazing?
These
huh?
are little things that we
Yeah.
can take for granted, but just can really change someone's life.
Oh, yeah. Privacy,
Yes.
protection.
Right.
You know, and just the wanting to be with her family, you know. Just such a great thing, you know. And I know, Sister, maybe you've had some experiences of how, you know, working with the people, that they just respond. Have you experienced that
Yeah,
kind
one of my
thing?
favorite memories from last year actually was when we were out and about doing home visits, and this one woman had called to us from the side of the road one day, and she said, "Will you come visit me?" And so we said, "Sure," and we came back the next day, and she led us to her house down this little dirt path. And so we were there in her kind of her front yard. It's not really too much of a yard, but just the dirt out in front of the house. And she had her daughter go in and bring out 2 chairs for us. And I imagine those were the only 2 chairs they had in the house. They weren't. There was one regular one and one very small. Even, so, and so that was for Sister Kelly Francis and I to sit on. And I was already touched by that they would be so hospitable as to offer us what they had, the very little they had, and to give us that dignity. But then she led us to about 5 more houses after that of friends and family in the neighborhood. And so as we went along to each house, it would be her leading us, and then Sister Kelly Francis and I and a few children from the neighborhood tagging along. And I looked back, and there were the 2 chairs. They were carrying them along with us to each house so that we could have something to sit on. So it's just a little mark of their wanting to welcome us in. They're very hospitable. Very
Yes,
beautiful.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, I remember Mother Teresa when she said that people would ask her, "Mother, why don't you join with the government and then you can feed all of the poor people?" She said, if it's just a matter of giving a piece of bread, you know, to alleviate their hunger, that's one thing. She said, well, we have to give something more. We have to give and help people to experience that they are loved by God, that they have a dignity, and that has to come almost on a personal, person-to-person thing, something that touches them deeply, you know, giving them a pair of sneakers or a soccer ball or something, you know, that this has made their day. And it shows, you know, your love, and your love is reflecting Jesus' love for them. Huh?
I know on our website, friarsuppliers.com, it actually we have a DVD that you can any of the viewers can watch. And if you click on the guy with the yellow shirt, you'll actually see the scene that Sister is talking about. But you know, because we do film the entire trip. We have 2 ladies that go around and they just film and snap pictures of the entire trip, so that we have memories for everyone to share.
That's a great thing, you know. Yeah. Well, this is a great expression of the gospel. You know, very often the parable of the Good Samaritan. You know, we always think, well, that was a man who was not Jewish, but he stopped to help a Jewish person. It's more than that. It's really a reflection of Christ. He came from the outside. You know, as God, he became man for our sake. And when we were left, you know, after original sin, everything was taken from us. We had no hope of heaven. Jesus came, you know, and he took care of us. And in that parable, the Samaritan provides for the man who fell among the thieves. And that's what we're doing now, is sharing Jesus' love and trying to call all people, you know, to know that love and to participate
That's right.
in it.
At the end, he says, "Go and do likewise," right? So
That's
we're all
right.
called
That's
to reach out to those.
Well, we've got 1 more minute to kind of sum up or, you know, finalize our thoughts, any last thought you want to give?
I just want to share one short story about the food handout that we did last year. You know, we had scheduled that we were going to give 1,000 people food, enough food for a month, and somehow or another, I think it was Father Harold prayed over the food, and there was enough to feed 1,325 people. Mm-hmm. And at the end, I had to tell people I had no more food, and normally, you know, we'd have some people would rush us for food, but last year they clapped. They clapped, and I cried because, you know, I can't stand to see anybody hungry. I can't. Yeah. That's just not Charlie Moran. In fact, this year I'm really hoping that we can do 2,000.
Wow. Well, even Jesus, remember, he didn't want to send them away hungry.
I know.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of our program today. I hope that you've been inspired, you know, by the call to the missionary life. Charlie's a layman, very busy man, and a lot of responsibilities, his family, sister, and Father Harold, who have been on. You know, God can call, he calls all of us through our baptism. So let us thank him. Lord, we thank you for the gift of our baptism. We thank you for eternal life you have given us. And you have called us to go forth as your missionaries to share your love with the whole world. Please bless your church. And I bless all of you in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Well, we come to that part of our program now where we make our fund appeal, okay, to keep the wonderful work of EWTN going. It needs your prayerful support, but it needs also your financial support. And Mother Angelica used to say, you know, put your check for EWTN between your telephone bill and your electric bill, something like that. Anyway, between two other bills, she would say. But to be as generous as you can to support this wonderful work of EWTN, proclaiming the gospel to all the world. Well, thank you so much. God love you, and his peace be with you always.